All right, so this is a suggestion via a donation. The name of the video is From the Archives. Bob Simon visits Mount Athos. Let's check it out.
With Bob Simon.
I've been around the world many times, but I've never, ever seen a place like Mt Athos, where we spent a couple of weeks this year. It hasn't changed in 1,000 years. 20 monasteries, 2,000 monks, no newspapers, no radio, no television. And we had such a good time that I would urge anyone else to go, except half of you won't be able to go.
Right. Definitely. I'll say the same thing. Definitely go here, guys. It's beautiful.
Because a woman hasn't been allowed in Mt Athos in more than 1,000 years.
Right.
We're going to take you to a place outside our world. It's not Mars or Venus, but it might as well be. It's a remote peninsula in northern Greece that millions believe to be the most sacred spot on Earth. It's called Mt Athos, and prayers have been offered here every day with no interruption for more than 1,000 years. It was set aside by ancient emperors to be the spiritual capital of Orthodox Christianity, and has probably
Greek Orthodox Christianity
changed less over the centuries than any other inhabited place on the planet. The monks come here from all over and do everything they can to keep what they call the world far away. Not surprisingly, journalists are not exactly welcome. For more than 2 years now, we've been corresponding, negotiating, and frankly pleading for an invitation, but ran into one monastic wall after another. Then, much to our surprise and delight, a few months ago, the monks said, "Okay, come see who we are."
Bro, what you should have done is not done the journalist thing. You could have went, experienced it without any issues. You could have went and experienced it and then came back and tell your story, bro. That's what you really should have done. That would have probably been a better, way to do it. Let's say more respectful way to do it. But I get it. You wouldn't have any video, I guess, if you're going specifically for journalism.
This Byzantine cross marks the border between Mount Athos and the 21st century. The monks come here, as they always have, for the beauty, the tranquility, and the isolation. But most of all, for this. Father Yakovos is one of the few Americans on the mountain. He's been here more than half his life.
You have to understand the words that we're saying in today's liturgy are the same words that Christ was saying, the same words that saints from the 1st century, the 2nd century, the 3rd century, the 4th century.
And nothing has changed in Orthodoxy since then. It's the only branch of Christianity that can make that claim. Father Eliseos is the abbot, the top man at Simonos Petros, one of the 20 monasteries. It was Abbot Eliseos who invited us here, and never let us forget what a rare privilege it was.
It happened once, in 1981.
The last time you invited a television crew here was 1981.
Correct. We weren't going to invite you, but your persistence convinced us to open the door.
Other words, you were annoying, bro. You annoyed us. Guys, Mount Athos has like so much like lore around it. It's actually gorgeous, guys. Right? Really quickly, in terms of like how they're chanting, I've always found like Greek Orthodox chanting to be like extremely mesmerizing. In around 2016 or so, I had gone there for a funeral. Unfortunately, one of my closer friends that I kind of grew up with passed. He's from Greece, and he was basically his funeral service was in Kalandri. It's basically northeast of Athens, pretty much close to the Olympic Stadium, the Olympic Park, the Avenue Mall area, the Mall Athens also, guys, right? Just to give you a landmark if you've been there. And and so like he was absolutely Greek Orthodox, He had a Orthodox Greek funeral service, so of course they were chanting extremely similar to this there, guys. So my experience with it was somewhat of a morbid one, obviously, but I did find the concept of it to be absolutely mesmerizingly beautiful, guys. Now, Mount Athos itself, again, has a lot of lore around it, right? So, for example, Athos was the giant, right? He comes from the Gigantomachia period, right? Where apparently there were giants fighting Greek gods, right? And so Athos, being the giant who he was, right, he decided that it was going to be a great idea to hurl a massive rock at Poseidon, right? And that rock obviously landed in the Aegean Sea and created Mount Athos, right? Another piece of the lore, because it's like multiple stories that can be told about the actual the place, Mount Athos. Another one would be that rock missed, Poseidon won, and then buried him here underneath the rock, basically. So there are two of them. I prefer the one where Athos threw a giant rock, and that rock landed in the Aegean Sea and created Mount Athos, guys. Athos, guys. Apologies.
The door he opened revealed the wonder that is Simonas Petros, which fits like a crown on top of a rock 800 feet above the Aegean. It was built in the 14th century, and the monks will tell you it must be considered a miracle that it hasn't fallen into the sea.
The build quality was better, guys. That's what that is.
There are 20 monasteries on Mount Athos. Some look like medieval fortresses. Others are so large they resemble small cities. They rise from virgin forests and line the coast, shrouded in mist. There's nothing on this 130 square mile peninsula other than monasteries and monks. Nothing.
And guys, keep in mind, this is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So for those of you who are into that type of thing, this is a really good bucket list item, guys. Well, if you're a guy, unfortunately, you know what I'm saying here, guys. But definitely, this is a bucket list thing. The photography you're going to get from here is absolutely just mind blowing, guys. It's mind blowing. The people are great. Also, food is cool. No complaints. Probably bring some salt and pepper and some hot sauce potentially, right? But either way, food's great.
We expected Mount Athos to be a quiet place, but we couldn't have imagined how quiet until we were dropped off here.
Right.
The silence is only broken by the occasional tapping on a chiseled piece of chestnut. It's a call to prayer, and it started being used here before there were bells.
Οι άνθρωποι που βρίσκονται εδώ έχουν ένα και μοναδικό σκοπό.
The monks here have one goal, and that is how to get closer to God.
Father Serapion wanted us to understand that there is no place on earth closer to heaven than Mount Athos.
Μόνο πάνω από 1000 εκκλησίες κάθε μέρα κάνουν θεία λειτουργία.
Every day, 1,000 divine liturgies are celebrated on the peninsula.
Είναι μοναδικό.
It's unique in the world and in the Orthodox Church.
Exactly what makes it unique.
Ο απόλυτος τρόπος της ζωής των μοναχών.
It's the absolute way of life of the monks.
It's a Spartan way of life, but all the monks we talked to said they never want to leave, not even for a day. So they try to be self-sufficient. They grow their own fruits and vegetables, do their own tailoring, and when they get sick, there's an in-monastery doctor, Father Imolaos, who's not very busy because the monks are in excellent shape. There's remarkably little cancer, virtually no heart disease or Alzheimer's. They must be doing something right in addition to drinking wine at 9 in the morning.
Bro, they're eating correctly. Well, when I say salt and pepper, listen, I'm bringing my nonsense to here. I get it. I know that, guys. Right? But they're completely fine. Their lives are extremely long, absolutely.
They eat 2 meals a day. There's what they call the first meal, which lasts 10 minutes, and the second meal, which lasts 10 minutes. There's no meat and no dinner table conversation. The only sound, a monk reading from sacred texts. We were surprised by how busy the monks are. When they're not praying, they're working. Father Theodosius, born a Lutheran in Germany, is a mechanical wizard who has given the monastery continuous electricity and occasional hot water.
Many Christians in the world, they are looking for the original church, for the ancient church.
Do you think this is the closest to the original church?
Yes. When you come to Orthodoxy, you will see it has everything you ever sought for.
Father Averkios takes care of the ancient footpaths here. He clears the trails. We went with him on what was, for us, an exhausting hike on the hills above the monastery. It wasn't tough for him, though. He says that after decades of roaming the world, this is his path.
I've been to many places.
Tell me where.
From Switzerland, of course, from Sweden, Finland, Spain, Portugal, Singapore, Australia, and Texas.
Texas. How did you like
Texas?
Texas?
I liked very much. I liked mostly the people.
Now, with all the traveling you've done,
I would have not
how
guessed
did
that.
you end up here?
I was searching for a way of life. I can give all of myself to that. And I think the God of Jesus is above all the others: money, lifestyle, even family.
The family at
Even
Simonas
family?
Petrus consists of 54 monks from 8 countries. Father Jacobo
I mean, guys, listen, I definitely respect the devotion. These guys have devoted their life completely to something, and they are not contradicting themselves. I love that for them, very specifically.
came here 25 years ago from Winthrop, Massachusetts.
This is about as beautiful as it gets.
I think so.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
He took us on a tour of the monastery.
It'd be tough enough to build a monastery on top of a rock today, but how did they do it in the 13th century?
You know, that's something which even modern-day architects are amazed at. When the workers came and saw the site where St. Simon, the founder of our monastery, wanted to build, they looked at him and they said,
You're crazy.
"Are you crazy?" Of course.
So being crazy was not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Now, back then, how did you get stuff up here?
We have mules.
It takes 15 minutes to walk through the monastery into the sunlight. Enough time to find out that Father Jacobos' journey to Mt Athos started at the age of 6, when his father showed him a picture.
It was just so
Is he
impressive.
Greek,
And I turned around and I
guys?
said to him, "Dad, you know, I don't think that I'm going to be able to believe that somebody lives in that building until I step on those balconies myself."
Destiny.
It is a little bit too.
From the age of 6.
Yes.
Father Jacobos doesn't follow what's going on in Winthrop or anywhere else today. There are no newspapers, no radio, no television on Mt Athos. There are a few telephones, and Father Jacobos got a call last year. His father was dying.
Oh,
Prior
wow.
to his death, he was asking if I would go so I could see him one last time.
Okay.
Reasonable request.
Right.
From a father, I think so.
Okay.
My response was negative, though.
You didn't go.
I didn't go. I didn't go because of the fact that monastics do not go to funerals of their relatives or their friends. They remain here at the monastery.
When your father asked you to come
Oh,
see him
that's
one last time,
that's
and you said no,
Wow.
was there any feeling of I'm letting my father down?
Not at
Wow,
all.
bro.
I know that we're
You did. You did. You let your father down. I'm telling you. You 100% did.
going to see each other in paradise one day.
The whole idea
Guys, even the guy that's interviewing him is like, bro, look
Not
at
at all.
Look at
I
him.
know that we're going to see.
He's looking down like, bro, that's. I mean, listen again. That's it's wild, wicked devotion. Obviously, it's great for him specifically, but that's a rough one right there.
See
Bro.
each other in paradise one day.
The whole idea at Mt Athos is not only to isolate oneself from the outside world, but to let go of all memories of one's past life.
The purpose of your being here, as I understand it, is prayer without distraction.
I'm not being distracted now.
Why are you laughing? First, tell me why you're laughing.
Why am I laughing? Because St. Paul says we're to pray unceasingly.
What's funny about that?
That's not what's funny about it. What's funny is how you think I can stop praying.
You're praying every minute of the day.
Even right now when we're talking.
Really?
Of course.
You don't see Father Yakovos praying while he's talking, but look at these other monks. Their lips never stop moving, not for a second. They just keep reciting the Jesus prayer day and night. Lord Jesus, have mercy on me. It becomes like breathing. Some monks say they can pray when they sleep, and they get no more than 3 hours sleep a night. But Mt Athos gets more applicants than it can handle. It's harder to get into than Harvard. The man comes as a novice. He's free to leave if he doesn't like it, and the monks can tell him to leave if they don't like him. When a novice arrives here,
How does that work?
can you tell whether he's going to make it or not? Can you tell whether he's going to qualify to be a monk?
Όχι παραπάνω από ελάχιστο χρόνο το καταλαβαίνουμε.
After a while, it becomes pretty obvious whether or not someone is cut out for it, which is why we have a trial period, which can last up to 3 years.
I bet you know a lot sooner than 3 years.
Yeah, probably.
Certainly.
Probably instantly.
Once he's accepted into the community, it's a lifetime commitment. And life never changes here. Never.
Okay.
Every day at 3 in the morning, a single bell rings, informing the brothers that it's time to stop praying on their own and start
praying
praying
mass.
in church. On a typical day, and every day is a typical day, the services last 8 hours. The monks say it's an 8-hour conversation with God, a dress rehearsal for eternity. And remember, this doesn't only happen on Sundays, it happens every day, 365 days a year.
Whoa.
A monk never gets
I mean,
a day
well,
off.
that's, yeah, okay.
This
Yeah,
is the divine
that's a
liturgy,
thing that happens for
the
real.
life of Christ.
Because, guys, for example, guys, I definitely, when I went in the middle of the week. And, yeah, it wasn't like a Sunday thing, guys, right? Keep this in mind, I am not religious at all. At all. But I respect it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be disrespectful to your religion at all. At all. Any religion in general. I encounter everyone. But the thing about it is, so they allow like roughly 10 people or so, guys, to go on a day. Like every single day, they'll have 10 people that are not religious. Because you have to basically, say you're not a religious person for the most part, guys, right? So they allow 10 heathens, right, to basically enter their island, and I think about 100 or so, because we went. It was mostly people that were Greek, right, because obviously they allow 100 Greeks or Orthodox Greeks to enter into the island, guys, right? So 110 people on a daily basis can actually visit this place. And guys, if you do go to Greece, please check this out, guys. It is absolutely phenomenal. Religious or not religious, it's a beautiful place to encounter.
Celebrated by men whose only passion is to move closer to Christ every day. The depth of their devotion defies description. They didn't look like the same monks we had met in the gardens and the workshops. They were utterly transformed, with a concentration so profound they were immune from distraction. There were occasional flashes of ecstasy. This old monk could have risen out of a Rembrandt.
Βούλομεουν προσεύχεστε τους άνδρας εν παντή τόπο.
There are no musical instruments in the church, just chanting. Chanting without end.
Like absolutely mesmerizing
Many
if
of
you
the
were to
voices,
encounter this
the basses
in person.
in particular, could have made it at the Met. We didn't understand the words. We didn't really have to.
Right.
This phrase we knew. Lord, have mercy.
All right, guys. When it comes to like Greek Orthodox, their singing, their chanting is what I think is the most probably appealing thing from the outside looking in, right? I mean, if you're just an observer, and then probably after that would be probably like the twirling like dervishers, guys, like the guys who like spin around and with like I think they're Turkish guys. Those are also those are like two of like probably my favorite things to visually or audibly encounter, guys. Please go to Mount Athos, guys. It's a mandatory thing to probably once in your lifetime, guys. Or just honestly, go to the UNESCO website and look at all the amazing things that the human species has done on this planet, guys. It's beautiful. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day and enjoy your day thoroughly.